him Johnny Vermont. We know him as the great John LeClair, one of the all-time greats in the National Hockey League, and he joins us right now. Johnny, how are you, man?
I'm doing well. How you been?
Beautiful. Now you're in Jersey, right? So you safe over there? Everything quiet?
I'm actually in Philly. I live over by Villanova, but yeah, we're doing okay. We're hanging in there.
They
didn't,
they didn't riot in Villanova, did they? Anybody go out and loot, stores, loot country clubs and the pro shops to get Titleist Pro V1s?
They don't even riot in Villanova when they win a national championship.
Yeah, you're right about that.
yeah.
Jay Wright won't allow it. Jay Wright will not stand for rioting at Villanova.
That's right.
Exactly. No, I'm not living that large where it's like that for me, but it's been pretty quiet. The city's been a mess, but it's been strictly kind of just in the city and a few skirts outside of it. That's it.
Now, of course, everybody's waiting for hockey to return. We're waiting for all sports to return. And obviously, the National Hockey League, it's amazing that it's the most maligned league, yet it was Gary Bettman in the NHL who actually took the first concrete step forward to bring their game back. Did that surprise you?
No, I think Gary's done a really good job. He's been aggressive as far as wanting to play and determined to play. They're taking steps forward. They're pretty determined that they're going to get something in this year. I think originally he wanted to even play some of the regular season games. That was his original plan. So for him to come up with this scenario, the 24 teams, and to cut it down into a 16-team playoff eventually, it's good to see. It looks like they're moving forward.
Now, if you were still playing, John, how would you approach this as a player? Would you be eager to get back on the ice and get playing and back with your teammates, regardless of whether they're doing this in, two cities that weren't anywhere close to your home?
Yeah, for me, I think, I would just want to play. A chance, it's not going to be your traditional Stanley Cup, but just a chance to still win the Stanley Cup. It's there. And everybody's starting from zero. Everybody's equal when they get back. So it's going to be a little different. But for me, I'm not as concerned. There is a concern out there with the coronavirus, but it's not something that's debilitating me that I don't leave the house. So I would be willing and kind of antsy to play.
John LeClair, United States Hockey Hall of Fame, Vermont Sports Hall of Fame, and I know Eric Lindros, your line mate, who you played with for many years, said you should be in the NHL Hall of Fame or the Hockey Hall of Fame. I know he's beating the drum for you. Is that still a possibility? Do you think that will happen?
I don't know. I think my window's kind of passed as far as my voting getting in, but it's nice to be considered. I think I was on the borderline there, so it's kind of go either way. But, regardless, there's nothing you can do about it now, and just kind of it is what it is.
Now, John, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. I mean, his name is on the cup, Tony. You know what I mean?
It's
like you ever wake up some days, or sometimes you're reflecting back and you're like, you know what? My name is on the trophy of my sport. How cool is that?
It is pretty cool. When you're all done, and you look back at things, when people talk about winning a Stanley Cup, or you're talking to guys that, have won or never got a chance to win one, it does bring back a great memory, and that's something you're proud of, that, I got my name on one of the greatest trophies in the world, and it's going to be there for 80 years until that band's gone.
I think that's the coolest thing about the Stanley Cup is that every player that's ever been on those teams, their name is engraved on the damn thing.
Last year when they brought it back here to Philly with the Blues, and we were talking to the coach, and I got to sit next to it. It was on the table in front of me up there in New Hope when we did a show, and I was just looking at it because I've seen it before, but I got to watch it for a couple of hours and kept reading all the names and all the. It's just it's
unbelievable.
It is the greatest trophy in all of sports, I believe.
It is, and with the tradition of it, the way now every player gets a chance to have it for a day and do that stuff. There's not a better trophy to win in the world.
Now, how close do you stay with the Vermont program? Because obviously, you're going to be doing a hockey league next year, which we'll talk about in a second. But, you're American hockey legend, Hockey Hall of Famer in this country, and we see so many players now when it used to be all Canadians, and now all over the world is represented. But to be from Vermont and become a legendary player in the National Hockey League has to be a pretty big deal.
Growing up, it wasn't something that seemed attainable. But as I got older, there was more and more U.S. college kids kind of breaking through, like the Brian Leaches, the Craig Jannies, and those kind of guys. So it seemed a little bit more attainable as the further you went on. And, it was one of those things, I was fortunate. I played in a time of some pretty good USA hockey guys, and we were able to get the eyes on us, and people took us serious. All you need is a shot sometimes.
John, go ahead, Harry.
Before we get to 3 Ice, which is your league coming up starting next summer, playing hockey in front of no fans in a big, venue, like let's say the Wells Fargo Center with no fans, and you're playing a real game that counts and it's a playoff game. How different would that be for you being an ex-player?
I think it would be something you're going to a little bit getting used to. I mean, it could almost feel like a scrimmage at practice at first.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot on the line. I think guys will adapt quickly. But I do think it's going to be awkward at first. I think will take some getting used to. That's for sure.
Talking with the great John LeClair as he talks about the NHL returning soon, and certainly they're not going to do it in their own building zone. I think that's because baseball, if they ever get it done, they right now are the only sport that appears to be ready to play the games with or without fans in their own home buildings. Hockey is going to do it at different hubs. The NBA is going to do it at the different hubs. That's got to be a real bummer because the team that wins the Stanley Cup will be doing it not on their home ice and will be doing it with no fans and probably won't be able to have a parade after they win if this coronavirus thing sticks around.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of unknowns. You don't know what it's going to look like in 3 months or 2 months from now. So, my hope is that they play far enough and things clear up good enough that maybe the final is set in its hometown so that the 2 teams that make it to the finals are able to travel by then. That would be nice. But, it could take a lot of the excitement. Like I said, it's going to be a different Stanley Cup. In my mind, I don't put an asterisk next to it. I think he still won the Stanley Cup. He went through the grind of the playoffs. You did play your games, although they kind of are taken away from this Stanley Cup playoffs now. But, bottom line is when they look back, your name's on the Stanley Cup, and you got a chance to lift it over your head.
All right, now let's get to your new project, this 3 Ice, which is an 8-team hockey league that looks to start next summer. It's 3-on-3 hockey, which we know we have the overtime period in the NHL for quite a few years, since 2015, I believe. So people have kind of gotten used to what 3-on-3 would be like. It's very exciting and up-tempo. How did this all come about? Tell us about it.
Yeah, it's the brain trust of E.J. Johnson, the son of the great goaltender from E.J. Johnson from the Bruins. I think he played with Pittsburgh, St. Louis. But, he was watching the playoff. He was watching the games in the overtime. And, I think it's the most exciting part of the game. I think it's even more exciting than the shootout. Fans love it. It's high tempo, fast pace, a lot of action, a lot of skill. So it's really exciting. I think people are going to really enjoy it. And we're going to have some highly talented guys out there, real talented guys that can still play the game and play hard. I think people are going to be really entertained and really surprised at how entertaining it is.
Now, obviously the NBA Big Three took off, and because it's, as you mentioned, you got guys in there going up and down, and nothing like end-to-end action, as they used to say back in the day when the NBA and the NHL was on NBC, and we got end-to-end action. This is end-to-end action. So it's 7 players, so there'll be 6 skaters and a goalie, 2 8-minute halves. So there's going to be a lot of, obviously, guys can't stay on the ice for 8 minutes on a regular 5-on-5 or 6-on-6. So obviously they're going to be short shifts, but there's not going to be a lot of players, and there'll be a running clock, right?
Yeah. Although I played with some guys that could play for 8 minutes. They never got off the ice, so there's a few out there. But, it's going to be go. We're still trying to iron out some of the details as far as the rules and how it's going to, transpire as far as the game. But ideally, we'd like to have 2 face-offs, one to start the first half and one to start the second half. And other than that, it's puck goes out of play, ref drops the puck in the goalie's glove, or a goal scored, players take the puck out even behind the net, and away you go. So it's going to be nonstop, go, and it's going to be exciting. It's going to be extremely entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, so much open ice. That's what makes it great. With the players have so much room to move. But now there's not even going to be any penalties, right? You just take penalty shots.
Yeah, that's the plan. I mean, just to keep the game moving, not have power plays, and worrying about putting, because then it could eventually be, with the no stoppage, it could be a 4-on-4 for a long time. So you want to keep it 3-on-3, more ice out there for these guys to do their thing. So just going to keep it moving with penalty shots.
And one of the most important things,
but
you already have.
Also, one thing too is that there's going to be no hitting and no fighting.
Okay.
So I think hopefully, I mean, there'll still be the stick stuff that will go on that will, create some penalties and stuff. But hopefully with the non-contact stuff like that, there'll be less penalties and there'll be a lot more flow to the game.
We're talking about John LeClair, Hockey Hall of Famer in this country and Vermont. And certainly the big advantage is you already have television commitments, right? You have CBS Sports Network and you have TSN up in Canada that will be televising this stuff.
Yeah, they've done a great job of really, being meticulous about how they want to, unveil this thing, and they covered their grounds. To have a TV contract in the States, and then they have the obviously TSN's one of the more popular ones up in Canada. They also got RDS, the French station, that's the French version of TSN up there. So it's going to be seen, and it's going to be out there. And they're already getting some inquiries from other countries around the world, too. So this thing could be worldwide.
John, now, Vince McMahon will not be the commissioner, right? So we don't have to worry about this thing going away after a couple of weeks?
We're hoping not. We're hoping that we're going to be a little more sound. I've dealt with the guys that are in charge. They're real solid guys, and I think we're in good shape.
You got to have a couple of now the players will be modern day young players, right? Because you got legendary coaches. You got Brian Trottier, Grant Fuhrer, Guy Charbonneau, and you got 28 Cup champions coaching, 6 Hall of Famers coaching in this league. But the players will be made of what? Of college players and minor league players. Who are going to be the guys on the ice?
Yeah, they're going to be professional hockey players. They're going to be minor league guys that are maybe looking for a contract that haven't signed. They're waiting to go to a PTO. Could be a guy that's, finished his career, but you know what? He still got some gas in the tank and wants to play. And it could be a pro guy that just, he's in that in-between stage and he doesn't have a contract. And instead of during the summer, when he wants to try to get a tryout somewhere, he can show his stuff there.
So now when do we find out where the teams are, where the cities are located? Or you're just going to be taking – like, how is that going to work? 'Cause you're going to move this around the country and do sort of – it's a bracket thing, and you're going to do sort of tournaments in several cities. But who are the teams? Like, when are we going to find out, what the name of the teams are and where they're located?
There's 8 teams, right? There's going to be 8 different teams.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, Seattle hasn't even released their name yet for the NHL, so I think we're way ahead of it, even if we haven't released anything yet. So we got some time to get all that stuff out. They have a good idea of what cities they want to go to. Mm-hmm. They haven't confirmed them yet, but they have a pretty good list and narrowed it down to the 8 that they want to do. And ideally, what they're going to end up with is the top 4 teams are going to end up in Vegas at the end for the championship, which will be fun. And it's going to be good. It's going to be, we're going to be touring around. And it's going to be some major cities and then some mid-sized cities so that everybody gets a chance to see some of these guys and get a chance to come out and really get a part of, professional hockey out there.
Now, are you going to be able to go out and skate around with the great coaches that you have with Trottier and all these other guys you play with? Are you going to at least go out at halftime and give us a little entertainment, bring out the old boys and do some old-school drills?
My goal is to leave the skates at home when I go to these tourist cities.
Oh, come on, man. Come on. I want to see you fill the nets, man. Go out there and show these young guys how it's done.
These guys move a lot quicker than I do right now, so I don't know if I want to get out there with them.
No, you just go do the wide, slow, sweeping moves in and around as the older guys do, and then you just come up there and get that wrister.
Yeah.
Wrister right by it, man.
Yeah.
Put that biscuit in the basket, man. I need hockey now. I need it injected into my veins. There's nothing better than the National Hockey League playoffs, Harry. Is there any greater sport, John?
I don't think so. I mean, to me, obviously I'm really biased, but, the Stanley Cup playoffs is probably the greatest 2 months of sports for me to watch. There's something on the line every night. To watch a hero arrive, come about during those times, it's exciting. Guys are really laying it on the line, and it's incredible drama and high-paced action that it's just really entertaining.
Well, now you being a coach, is this something that you might want to parlay into something a little more regular and bigger on the next level if things go well? Is that something you might be thinking of down the line?
Well, we'll see how this goes, but this is a form of coaching. I think when you're getting into a 5-on-5 team and dealing with power plays and penalty kill and those kind of things, there's a lot more involved. I mean, this is going to be pretty easy lifting as far as what we're coaching.
Okay.
The great John LeClair breaking it down, getting me jonesing for hockey, man. Are you going to be ready to? You're going to be watching. You're going to be watching, especially you got obviously a couple of teams that the Flyers are going to be one of those top 4 seeds, and that's going to be interesting to watch to see how this thing transpires.
It really is. I mean, to watch those guys battle out, where the top 4 get their seedings, and then the play-in is going to be interesting. There's going to be one team that wasn't in the playoff point race that's going to knock out somebody that was in the playoffs. But it's going to be interesting, and really interesting to see what kind of game we get with everybody coming back from this layoff and having to play at that level right away.
John LeClair. John, great catching
Thanks,
up with you, man. Always love talking hockey, and good luck. And that's next year. Hopefully we get this hockey in this year and get things back to normal, and then we'll see the 3 ice, not the bro ice. That's a different thing.
Yeah, that's done.
That's different.
Bro ices are they over now? Is that officially
that's
over?
Yeah, that's over.
Bro ices. What else is over? Jump the shark. Is that over?
Yeah, I think so.
John. You don't say John, do you, John?
What's that?
That John thing that there's some strappers here in Philly started, and they're still starting to they continue to use it. John.
JAWN.
See, he doesn't play. He doesn't play that stuff.
Right.
That's for all these strappers who do that John stuff, man. I've been trying to tell these people, man. Don't they know who I am and how long I've been around here? When it's over, it's over, John. When it's over, it's over.
It is. I haven't developed that Philly accent with the U's and right and all that stuff.
I lost my Philly accent 50 years ago. But I'm saying that all these stupid sayings that sometimes you got to put them away for good. You got to
retire them.
Retire. You got to retire John. You got to retire Bro Ice and all these other stupid things. They last too long now. 15 minutes is no longer 15 minutes. I want 15 minutes of fame ending in 15 minutes, maybe 16 if you go overtime, and then have a shootout, and then it goes away for good. Johnny, good to talk to you, brother. Thanks so much for coming on.
Really appreciate you guys having me. Anytime.
There's the great John LeClair. Let's put your hands together. First of all,